Jingi lobji she so so Guru pema siddhi Om Yam Benzar Guru pema siddhi Om Yam Benzar Guru pema siddhi Om Yam Benzar Guru pema siddhi Lalin Zawe Lama Rimuji Nagi Jiwa Bimidin Jula Kadin Jimu Gune Jesus Kuzun Dogino Section Nangi Seven on the way Chedachi and Chechen the one to be Chuge Kodo. So we have a handout for all of you, which is my latest revision of the first Terma revelation of the 7-line prayer of Guru Padmasambhava. It's version 2.1. Just one or two words changed. I keep trying to make the English just a little bit smoother. It'll never reach the Tibetan for poetic quality. But before we talk about that, I want to talk a little bit about who Guru Padmasambhava is and what's so special about Guru Padmasambhava. And we chose today for this teaching and for this soak offering because it's the 10th day of the month. And Guru Padmasambhava, when he was in Tibet, he promised all of his disciples that on the 10th day he would be very close. And so the 10th day of the waxing phase of the moon is a special day for Guru Rinpoche practice. But also any time, any day is a good time. And then this is the 4th month of the Tibetan lunar calendar. So it's considered karmically powerful, astrologically auspicious time. This is the month in which the Buddha was born and in which the Buddha passed into nirvana. And actually, that's commemorated on Friday, the full moon day. And we'll have some practice here at the center. I think that's in the email. So, here we are in the United States, and it's a long time since Guru Padmasambhava was in India or Tibet. So what's the big deal? I mean, it's a long time ago, and different culture and different place. When people are born in Tibet or Bhutan or parts of Nepal, the tradition of Guru Padmasambhava is so strong. It's sort of like people grow up with tremendous devotion in their DNA. And just the fact that we're here in this room, in this time, in this place, we must have some karmic connection. Otherwise, we'd be doing something else, like taking a hike on this Sunday afternoon. So there's many ways to understand Guru Padmasambhava. Padmasambhava means lotus born. And there was this person who was, if he were born in, the place where he was born now is in Pakistan, the Swat Valley, the center of the Taliban, impermanence. That was Odhyana. That was the place where many of the Tantras came from. Tremendous power place. And many of the tantric lineages originated in Odhyana. And there's a mythological story of Guru Padmasambhava's birth, and most Tibetans take it quite literally, that he was born miraculously on a lotus flower in a lake, and as a young boy, and that later some of the king's ministers found him, and the king adopted him as his son and heir. But some Tibetan sources also tell us he was the king's son. And just as with the historical Buddha, we understand the Buddha in various ways. We understand there is a Buddha Shakyamuni, this person, but according to the Mahayana, according to the Hinayana, there's a Buddha Shakyamuni who was this person who was born and worked hard. And that after many lifetimes, in that final lifetime, he worked very hard. He attained enlightenment and became an awakened one. But according to the Mahayana, then he was enlightened a long time ago. And he displayed the manifestation of his life for the benefit of beings in this realm. And according to the Vajrayana, the Buddha has so many forms. And the Buddha basically means that which is awake. So if we look at this from a kind of the way we're trained as Westerners to think about things, it's one or the other. But from Buddha's point of view, it's not one or the other. One or the other is a delusion to begin with. There's no such thing as one or the other. So there's ways to get at that, right? You can get at that with Buddhist philosophy. The best way is to taste it. And the same thing is true with Guru Padmasambhava. So Guru Padmasambhava, if we look at his life story, utterly extraordinary, basically one of the greatest yogis there ever was. And there are prophecies in some of the sutras where the Buddha Shakyamuni said, you know, in 8 years or 12 years, I should memorize this stuff verbatim, but I'm not very good at that. On a lotus flower in the northwest, in the land of Odhyana, one greater than I will be born and will be the steward of the teachings of secret mantra. And but regardless of prophecies or not, we have a historical record of, in his biographies, of a yogi who practiced first practiced in the Vinaya as ordained, and then studied Sutra and Tantra, and then practiced Tantric yoga and practiced Dzogchen. And Guru Padmasambhava and Bamala Mitra are generally considered the only people in the record of the Dzogchen lineage who actually attained the complete Jalupoa Chembo, great transference rainbow body. And I mean, there's rainbow bodies and there's rainbow bodies. That means when you're alive, he attained it when he was alive, while he was still alive. And as a result, he never died. And so our Terma lineage, our treasure lineage, many of these treasures occur when highly realized masters who have a karmic connection with Padmasambhava from their previous lives meet his wisdom body and get the teachings again in a direct lineage. And Dudjom Rinpoche was one of those masters. Dudjom Rinpoche, I mean, he was considered an emanation of Padmasambhava, and he met Guru Padmasambhava in visions over and over again. When he was 12 years old, he had a vision where traveled to Zangdok Pelri, the pure realm of Guru Padmasambhava, and in his vision he was there for 13 days, receiving all the teachings and transmissions. But when he came out of his meditation, only 2 hours had passed. But he was 12 years old. After that, he just blossomed. When he was 13, he gave the Rinchen Terzud, which is the collection of all of Guru Rinpoche's treasures, like 700 empowerments, 100 volumes of, more than 100 volumes of text and longs. Really accomplished, learned lamas, the sort of main lineage masters, take months to give that. He was 13 years old, he did it in a month. He was just, there's something superhuman about him. He could, a lama who reads one Tibetan volume in a day for a reading transmission is considered fast. He would read 4 and give the empowerments. And so he was Chogyam Rinpoche's teacher and teacher of many of almost all the Nyingma lamas of that period in the 20th century considered him to be one of their gurus. And of course, he's the source of the Tersar lineage, the Dujam Tersar, source of our lineage. So we have this direct lineage from Guru Padmasambhava through Dujam Rinpoche, through Chogyam Rinpoche to us. Very fresh, full of blessing. Hasn't been messed around with by people struggling and stumbling and not knowing what they're doing and not having pure relationships with each other. That's what human beings do, right? There's less time to mess up generation after generation. The long lineages, all that energy is there in between you and the Guru. But Guru Padmasambhava is also living. The special thing about Guru Padmasambhava is he's a living Buddha. He's accessible. And that we can understand that in various ways, even if we can't meet him in his wisdom body or meet him in our dreams. So many people do. You can't hear me? Is it when I turn my head like this? I need to turn my whole shoulders, or I need to be very stiff. Okay. And many people do, but also we can understand the lotus born. The Guru Rinpoche, his attainment was complete. He's considered he's often referred to as the second Buddha in Tibet, because he was so highly realized and he was so instrumental in transferring the Dharma to Tibet. And we can Guru Rinpoche becomes the 3 Buddha bodies, the 3 kayas, basically, in the lineage. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a sec. There's so many stories about Guru Rinpoche's life. This is a very short talk. Of all of the treasures and practices that Guru Padmasambhava revealed, Guru Padmasambhava means the lotus-born guru. It's his Sanskrit name. Or Guru Rinpoche means the precious guru. And that's often how he's referred to by Tibetans. And of all of the teachings he left in Tibet, the 7-line prayer and then the 12-syllable mantra, the Guru Siddhi mantra, are considered extraordinarily blessed, and to condense the entire teachings of secret mantra within them. And I'll go on in a moment, I'll just briefly explain the translation I've given you. There's many stories about how the 7-line prayer originated. There's the story about when the Buddhist scholars at Bodh Gaya in India were in deep trouble. They were going to lose the debate to some Hindu scholars and end up, there was this, they used to debate almost like warfare among the different religious traditions. Tibet, if I won, you had to become my student. So these Hindu scholars came and they would have taken over the monastery at Bodh Gaya, the center, And so they all had this dream of a Dakini who told them, you need to invite my brother, Guru Padmasambhava. He's the only one who can handle this. And in the dream, all of them, there were maybe, in the story says 500, but a lot of scholars had the same dream, and they got the 7-line prayer in their dream, and they all compared notes. They said, we better do this. And of course, when they did that, Guru Padmasambhava manifested right there as if he was flying through the sky. And this is a very short version of the story. So, and then he said, now you debate. I'm just going to do my practice. And through the power of his blessing, they defeated the challenge. And then when the Hindu scholars tried to do black magic, Guru Padmasambhava defeated them. There's many stories like that. Powerful yogis can do all kinds of things. But it's not the only story, and I want to read you, this is a wonderful book, White Lotus by Padmakara. And Mipam Rinpoche, it's another extraordinary 19th century master, a Tirtan, a scholar, a realized master, wrote a commentary, very detailed commentary on the 7-line prayer. So just from the first part of his commentary here, I'll read this story from one particular terma of the origins of the 7-line prayer. When I, the lotus that upholds all things, so that's another name for Guru Padmasambhava, was resting in absorption in vast primordial expanse, I was invoked by Vajra sound, the play of ultimate reality, a self-arisen melody in 7 lines. I rose then in the boundless majesty of the Sambhogakaya, revealing an array of Buddhas and their space-pervading fields, endowed with 5-fold certainty. Then the 5 exalted mothers of the ultimate expanse implored me with a 7-line song to work for beings good, and therefore on a lotus blossom raised upon its stem, within the milky ocean in the field of supreme bliss, I was made manifest, renowned as Tocheng garlanded with skulls in 5-fold lineage. My life and deeds are past imagining. So this goes on, but we can read that as happening, out of time. That's kind of a description of how the 3 kayas manifest, the 3 Buddha bodies manifest. And so Guru Padmasambhava, for us who practice in his lineage, he becomes the ultimate guru principle. Just as I spoke this morning about the outer guru, the inner guru, the secret guru, Guru Padmasambhava embodies all 3. And obviously his kindness to Tibet was immense. His kindness to us is immense. Still to this day, these extraordinary treasures we have from Dudjom Rinpoche came from him. And he hid so many teachings in various places, in the mind streams of disciples to be discovered in their later lives, and throughout places in the earth, the sky. It sounds very magical. But these have been discovered and rediscovered over and over again by emanations of his disciples, emanations of him. And that keeps the lineage fresh. It keeps it fresh. His incredible kindness. The Buddha Shakyamuni himself, the historical Buddha, he prophesied, he said, my teaching is going to die out in 5,000 years. And there's some discussion about whether that means 5,000 half years, which means we're right about there, 2,500 years. There'll be a period where, 5 successive periods where it flourishes less and less and less until the final 500-year period of degeneration, a time of dregs. And we're generally considered to be in that last period, the dregs of time. And I think we can identify with that when we look at what's going on in the world. So it's said that even when the Buddha's teachings degenerate and disappear, the teachings of Guru Padmasambhava will remain and will be practiced by the lay people, by the tantric practitioners. Outwardly, they look like an ordinary person, but inwardly, something very different. You can't tell a yogi by looking at them. Some really good practitioners really don't look like good practitioners. You have to be careful. And one of the things we really practice as a Vajrayana practitioner is pure perception. Dagnam, pure perception, pure vision. We have to pretend it first. We have to work really hard. When food and shit become the same, then we don't have to pretend. Dujun Rinpoche really, when he was teaching, he told the story, when he was teaching giving the Dzogchen teachings, Dujun Rinpoche told the story of one of his teachers, the great Lama from Mindraling, who lived in Tibet, and went to visit another Lama from the same monastery who was living in Lhasa, and he came to this Lama's quarters. And there was like dried poop around the room. And his friend came and kind of looked around, and how did this story go? I think he offered him a poop or something, and again he was shocked, and he said, "Oh, you still eat food, huh? You still need food." But really, until you're at that level, there's karma. You're stuck in this world, right? There's a wonderful story about one of the great Kadampa Geshes, and he was circumambulating the central cathedral at Lhasa. And then there was this old, sick, stray dog laying in the sun on the rock, and he just started circumambulating that dog. And one of his disciples came and said, "Geshe-la, what are you doing? Why are you circumambulating the old dog?" He said, "I take refuge in the Buddha." He said, but for him, everything was pure realms. Everything. They don't see things like we see things here. They see them as they really are, as pure. But we have to make an effort at the beginning. Where was I? So, of all of the practices that Guru Padmasambhava left us, the 7-line prayer is really blessed. And what Mipam Rinpoche's commentary does is explain how in that 7-line prayer all of the teachings of the Vajrayana can be unfolded. Creation stage, completion stage, Dzogchen Trekchu, Dzogchen Tugel, that you can, each word unpacks as a detailed instruction on the path. We don't need to be so scholarly. I think all of us, when we chant the prayer like that, we feel moved. It's very powerful. So I always like to show people the whole Terma revelation, and that's why I did this translation, which doesn't just have the prayer, but the whole thing that came through. Guru Chukyi Wangchuk was the first of the 5 great Turtan kings. He lived in the 12th century, and he revealed the Lama Sangwa Dupa. And that was the first treasure revelation that contained the 7-line prayer. So when he did that, this is what he revealed. From the Guru gathering of secrets, the 7-line prayer, which is the extraordinary means for accomplishing the Guru. Homage to the Devata of profound meditation. It's a reference to Guru Padmasambhava. Actually, it's not. It's a reference to that the profound view, the view of original purity, or if we can say emptiness, that is the ultimate devata, the ultimate yidam, So he's saying this is the ultimate. way of practicing creation, completion. It's all there. Fortunate children of the lineage in future generations, if you seek refuge in me, organ, go to a solitary place and sit. So organ is what the Tibetans call the place where Guru Rinpoche came from. And you usually see it in Sanskrit as Odhyana or Odhyan. But actually, if you talk to Sanskrit scholars, there was another place in East India which was Odhyan, and there's a little bit of confusion. So I just leave it in the Tibetan, organ. We know that means the Swat Valley, right on the border of Afghanistan and Pakistan. And it's really something, you think about impermanence, what that place is now and what it used to be. All over Afghanistan, there were Buddhist communities. It was one of the Mahayana, the Vajrayana, the Hinayana. And we remember those huge Buddhas that were blown up not so long ago. Cave complexes, cliff sides covered with Buddhas. Because it was the crossroads of Asia, and Buddhism spread through the Silk Road. And many of the great siddhas of India, they had visions, not just the old translation schools, but the new translation schools. Tantras were discovered there. It's said to be the land of Dakinis. So the Tibetans refer to Guru Padmasambhava, sometimes it's just organ, or the organ guru. Go to a solitary place and sit. Contemplate impermanence until sadness arises. Greatly cherish frustration with cyclic existence. Okay, so that's the first part of the mundro there, right? I told you the mundro was indispensable. But even if you don't do the mundro, that's in there, right? It's what's that kind of certainty is indispensable. Greatly cherish frustration with cyclic existence. Doesn't that, cherishing frustration, doesn't that sound weird? But for Buddhists, it's not. I mean, if you're not frustrated with cyclic existence, then you're going to keep following it after it, right? That frustration is a treasure. That frustration moves us in a good direction. It keeps us from turning on the TV. It keeps us from looking at our cell phone. It gets us out of bed so we can sit. Direct your mind, heart, and chest to me. That's a Tibetan way of, I think you know what that means, of speaking. Think that all of the other sources of refuge are complete within me, organ. With confidence that I know all of your happiness and suffering, don't make prostrations or offerings or praises, abandon accumulations. So what's being said there is not that, you shouldn't do those kinds of practices, but here, remember he started homage to the Devata of profound meditation. This is the essence. So don't worry about, at this point, the numbers and all that other stuff. Abandon accumulations. With reverence of body, speech, and mind, pray to me with these 7 lines. So he's saying everything's contained in that. Your certainty about the defects of samsara, your certainty about the possibility of liberation, your trust and devotion in Guru Padmasambhava, in the lineage, and that Guru Padmasambhava embodies all of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, all of the enlightened beings of the 3 times. And then you pray, Hum, Organ Yogi Nudam Sam, at the Organ's northwestern frontier, Pema Gesar Dongpola, on the stem and corona of a lotus flower. Yamsen Choki Modrubne, wondrous supreme accomplishment attained, Pema Jungne Jesu Chak, and as the lotus born renowned. So, this is a little bit like the longer version I read you from the book of how the 7-line prayer originated and of how Guru Padmasambhava was born. The stem and corona of the lotus. It can be the historical account, or it can be this kind of esoteric secret account of how the Guru is always present as the manifestation of Buddha nature. Kordukandro Mambukor, surrounded by a circle of many dakinis. Dakinis, and again, outer, inner, and secret. Guru Padmasambhava had many spiritual consorts, actually, and many of them were great teachers and very important in spreading his lineage in India and Tibet. And also by relying on them, he was able to attain a very high state of realization. By relying on Princess Mandarawa, he attained, essentially, it's called the, I think it was the Chagyarigs in the Mahamudra Vidyadhara state, but he got the spiritual attainment of immortality at Maratika cave. So there's this outer dakinis in all these stories. And in the tantric tradition, we hear all these stories about advanced esoteric practices. But it's like there's a basic principle in life, plus and minus, left and right, up and down, hot and cold. And the most fundamental one is emptiness and awareness, or space and awareness. And so when we see, I don't know, do we have any tankas where the yab and the yum are in union in here? No, probably for that reason. It's representing that fundamental level of consciousness appearing, right? So the inner meaning is that. And that happens, whatever practice you do, if you take it to a certain level. So the whole of phenomena becomes the pure realm of dakas and dakinis. Everything that manifests is the dance of dakas and dakinis in union. So surrounded by a circle of many dakinis, Keki Jesu Tagduki, so that I may become like you. Jingi Lobchir Shesu, so please come and grant your blessings. Guru Pema Siddhi Hum. This word blessing, it's really interesting. The Sanskrit is a tishtana, standing above. It's kind of hard for us to relate to in our culture. Indians have so much devotion just to their parents. To this day, in a traditional Hindu family, if someone, when their parents pass away, the picture is there, like in the shop, in the living room. And if someone, say, meets their father on the street at a restaurant, you can see in traditional parts of India, they reach down and touch their feet and touch their head. This is where we come from and where it comes from. Something's coming down. And what the Tibetans translated is Chingi Lop, which sort of means like wave of grace. It's interesting, it's different. And all of those meanings are there. I asked one Tibetan Lama, I said, how can I, we was trying to parse apart the words, and he said, a blessing is like a transformation. This is interesting, a native Tibetan scholar. And he used the example of when a monk takes a piece of cloth and does the ceremony and it becomes a monk's robe. Something happened, it changed, right? So the whole point of blessing is that there's a change. Something comes down into us and changes us. And our mind needs to change. It's not something magic, it's interdependence. Interdependence of our trust, our inspiration. Guru Padmasambhava said, whoever has faith in me, faith, trust, inspiration, I'm in front of him. The very moment you have faith. And of course, we know the Buddha is there, but somehow just thinking that is not enough. We need to be inspired. And it comes two ways. Here's Guru Padmasambhava with this extraordinary spiritual attainment and this extraordinary power from all the practice he did with the intention to benefit. And so when we're connected with the lineage, and we have that connection with the lineage, the blessing is very close. Pray like this again and again with intense yearning, with tears in your eyes. Indeed, until you are overcome with faith, exclaim ha, and just completely let be. So you shouldn't do this if we're just doing this in the temple. This is when you go alone to the top of the mountain where no one's around. And you really, don't worry, if you just said hi, you didn't do anything wrong. Everybody so wants to be so good and proper and not make any mistakes. I was going to say immediately. And you just and you really just, you give your mind heart just with your devotion. You bring your devotion. Did I just knock that? Can you hear this? Yeah. You bring your devotion and you just pray until your head's splitting open. And then you just let be. Ha! Like that. So, if you want to try that, you can try that. So fresh, just that. Without distraction, look. For the child who prays like this, I will be the refuge. No need to worry. You will become the heir to the victorious ones of the 3 times and receive the great empowerment of self-awareness within your own mind. Meditation will become powerful and stable. Primal knowing will flourish. The great self-occurring blessing will mature oneself and continue to others, clearing away suffering. So, homage to the Devata of profound meditation. So this prayer, the first time it was given as a complete practice. So being told everything is there. You bring your devotion, you pray to get close to Guru Padmasambhava, and you just let go. When you are transformed, the perceptions of others will be transformed at the same time, and the activity of awakening will naturally be accomplished. All knowledge and qualities will be complete within you. This great skillful means of liberation that ripens the great self-identity of the true body should be shared with the children of your heart. This extraordinarily blessed practice, the 7-line prayer, is the utmost profundity, a recurring treasure of the heart, a secret instruction. It is entrusted to the wise and compassionate Chukyi Wangchuk. Chukyi Wangchuk was the Tirtan, Guru Chuang. So he had a vision of Guru Padmasambhava and received this from him. And I believe in his previous life he was the king, Trisen Detsen. And then, if we even condense it more, it said, Guru Padmasambhava said, Omahum Vajra Guru Pema Siddhi Hum, his 12-syllable mantra, is the condensed essence of the entire Vajrayana, just in that. You can even condense it down to that mantra, and the practice of Guru Padmasambhava. And of course, that's the mantra we use for our Guru Yoga. So for us Nyingmapas in our lineage, the blessing of Guru Padmasambhava is so powerful and so fresh, and he's the source. So he really embodies everything. There's so many practices But it all comes back. This beautiful little mundro you've got, everything is in there. Everything is in there. So that was really quick. Life history of Guru Padmasambhava, 7-line prayer. You can never go wrong doing the 7-line prayer. And we often do it before almost any practice we do. You can make it your practice. So like that. And we have this wonderful tsok practice we're about to do. How many people have never done tsok before? Okay. How many people wonder what this tsok thing is all about? Okay. Yeah, more hands went up. And I bet more might go up. So, this is something we do in the Vajrayana. It's very hard to translate into English. Tsok means gathering, assembly. And it's the way the Tibetans translated Gana Puja, gathering, offering. But it's a feast. It's the tradition in ancient India that the yogis and yoginis would get together and celebrate a feast. Sometimes in the charnel ground, they just, dance and eat the corpses. But if we're not at that level of realization, we'd get in trouble in a lot of ways if we tried to do that. Or sometimes there's very elaborate rituals with, in some kind of temple. You can think of it as the wisdom feast. The yogis and yoginis gather, invoke the Guru, invoke the blessings, invoke the pure mandala, and then we take food, and then we visualize the food manifesting endlessly, infinitely, into pure wisdom offerings, and offer the food to the mandala, and then we share in the food, share in the feast. And if you do it right, if you do it with devotion, if you do it with some experience of meditation, it's very powerful. It's a very powerful, skillful means to purify our negative karma, to purify our samaya, our sacred commitment as Vajrayana practitioners, and to help our meditation. Very often, people who are meditation practitioners, sometimes, you do tsok and you perk up. It's a very powerful, skillful means. It's not a party. It's a wisdom party. It's a wisdom party. It's said at the tsok feast, you shouldn't discriminate between, I like this food, I don't like that food, I want one of those. You just eat whatever without worrying about it. And if your view is good, things that would otherwise make you sick don't. It's really true. I can't tell you how many times I've, late in the day, we're just exhausted, starting a tsok puja, and going really, feeling so sick I didn't know I could do it, and then sitting with the Tibetans for hours and hours and hours, and at the end I just feel great. It all clears. So it's a skillful means of the Vajrayana. And this particular practice is, and if some of you are new, starting, this is maybe so many different words and strange things. It'll come, slowly. This particular practice, the shower of blessings, this treasure of Mipam Rinpoche, It may seem like a really elaborate ritual to you, but it's not. It's really simple, which is why we do it. Some of the rituals are quite elaborate. If any of you have done a trauma soak with me last year when I was here, you'll see. This is really easy to do. We do it slightly elaborate because we're in the temple with so many people. You can do it alone in a very simple way on retreat or on pilgrimage. And so it's a wonderful practice. It's easy to do. It's very blessed. It's kind of one of the greatest hits of the Nyingma tradition. Everybody almost does it these days because it's so nice. And the view is very high. It's a Dzogchen view. And each lineage has a slightly different version. Mipam Rinpoche's treasure doesn't have the usual couple of sections at the beginning that introduce a ritual. And so in our lineage, that was written by Shakya Sri and by Dudjom Rinpoche. Other lineages, sometimes you'll see different versions that are slightly different at the front and the end. The main part is Mipam Rinpoche's treasure. So this ritual thing is part of the Vajrayana. One way to look at the Vajrayana principle is that everything is symbolic. Everything is just symbol. And the symbolic form that we're experiencing now, which we're calling impure, it's impure in the sense that it arises from grasping, subject-object dualism, fixation. But it's just a symbol. It's not the way it really is. So we play with the symbols in Vajrayana. And at first, it's sort of like pretending. We trust, we feel inspired. And then through the blessing of the practice, the blessing of the lineage, we start to taste it a little bit more and more and more. And then the impure phenomena starts to fall apart, and you start to get a little bit more direct experience of the pure phenomena. But these rituals are also like a symbolic, skillful means that's passed down in the lineage. So that's why it's important, right? Words are symbols, pictures are symbols, ritual is a symbol. And so when we act out the ritual in the right way, it's kind of magical what happens. It's something we don't really have so much in our culture. I guess we kind of do. I mean, a president sits there and he's not the president, right? One guy's the president, and then somebody comes and stands in front of the Capitol and takes the oath, and then he's the president. And if it didn't happen that way, we'd have some doubt as to whether he was really the president or there was a problem. And even when we have problems with what happened and why somebody is becoming president, he stood there and he took the oath and he's president, right? Something happened. There was a transformation. There was a blessing. And so symbols are very powerful. Maybe you didn't want that to happen or not. I shouldn't get into politics here, but something happened and it became real. It was nothing. What happened? What happened? Nothing happened. Somebody stood somewhere and read something. What changed? But everything changed. So ritual can be very powerful. And these rituals are handed down just like the accounts of meditation, just like this prayer. They come from a perception of pure phenomena. And then the Terten, or the highly realized being who sees it that way, teaches with the practice a ritual and a way of doing things. And so that's handed down in the lineage. That's why the ritual practice in Vajrayana is something that's really treasured, actually. And some people spend their lives preserving very elaborate rituals. Some of that has come to the West. And if some of you do trauma with me, you've seen a little bit of it's a very elaborate ritual. But it's very powerful, very powerful. So I've gone on. We should probably start doing our tzok soon. Maybe I'll take a few quick questions. If anybody has questions, I'll answer a quick question. Otherwise, we'll take like a 5-minute bathroom break and then start the tzok. Does somebody want to give an announcement? I saw. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Well, let's take a 5-minute break and then we're ready to go.